to the arena. My name is Greg Sindelar, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Representative Helen Kerwin from Glen Rose, Texas. Now, it's not fair because I've actually known you since when you were just Helen, really Hurricane Helen, many, many years ago. In fact, I think the first time I met you was when I switched your wonderful daughter, my former boss, Brooke Rollins, from a BlackBerry to an iPhone. And I got this random call from you. Said, thank you so much. I don't know if you remember that, but I do.
Oh my goodness, you were the one that brought her into the 21st century.
Yeah, can you believe it?
Oh, that's awesome.
And now by the number of text messages I still get to this day from her, I wish maybe somehow I had like a flip phone or something like that. Yeah, that's right.
She was one of the last.
She was.
Oh, she loved her BlackBerry.
And she was so sad when we couldn't find him anymore. But,
I know.
You know.
That's a great story.
Well, so tell us, Helen, the point of this podcast is learn a little bit about our elected officials that are actually in the arena making change. You've kind of had a career in different aspects of public service. So maybe tell us a little bit about your story, where you grew up. You served as mayor, Glen Rose. Tell us a little bit about that, and then why at the ripe young age of, was it 77, you decided to run?
Filed at 76.
76.
And
you decided to run for state rep here in Texas. So I'll turn it over to you.
Well, it's just, I'm having more fun, I think, than I've ever had in my life. I mean, it is great people. And to be able to go into work every day and have the resources to be able to dig into the things that your district has asked you to do, and be able to accomplish them, whether it be a bill or whether it be a speech at council or whether it be whatever. It is so rewarding. So I love it. I've got great staff. They're all young and they're all smart and they're all just go-getters, and they're mini hurricanes. All three of them. And actually,
what's a mini hurricane? Is that like a tropical depression or a tropical storm?
They're trying to downgrade me to Tropical Storm Helen.
That's right.
But we had a crazy day last week, and they said, you are now a Category 3, and you cannot do this anymore. So, but I've got a great staff. We're just very productive, and it's awesome. I love it. But I started, I had a little flower shop on the square in Glen Rose, single mom, raising my 3 girls, and they got done raising them. They went to, off to college, and headlines in the Glen Rose Reporter, city elections. And I thought, I'm going to do that because I have been on this downtown square for 15 years, and there has never been so much as an attractive trash can on this downtown square. So I'm going to run, and I'm going to make this beautiful historic square really special. And so that's why I ran, awesome. Not thinking how much I would love it, just kind of found my path. And we had the very first task force I did as mayor was the downtown beautification. And we had street lights and benches and planters, and still there today. It's lovely. And then by the
it's one of the great town squares actually in Texas.
It really is, isn't it? It's so unique. It's just fabulous. And then I was asked to run for commissioner, first Republican elected in Somerville County, actually.
Oh, wow.
And by the time I got done with mayor, I had 10 task forces going, and all something to do with, making Glen Rose the best it could be. And then I was commissioner for a term. Loved it. Very different. You're a team of 4.
Yep.
So it was a really good lesson in government for me. And then I had my first grandchild. So then I quit all that, and I've been a full-time grandma for 20 years. And the last of them
was that Luke? Was that your first grandchild?
No. Actually, I had Zach and Chris first.
Oh, Zach and Chris. Okay.
And Luke just made yell leader.
I know. Well, that's why I was going to bring it up. I was like, the newest junior yell leader at Texas A&M.
Okay. So when I won, everyone was like, wow. And then when Brooke was appointed, secretary, of
Yeah.
agriculture, we were like, whoa. And now that Luke made Yale Leader last week, I mean, that just beats everything.
It's going to be so
We're
great.
so excited about that. It doesn't matter about agriculture or rep or anything. It's just, we're so proud of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
But
such a
he
good
was
kid.
number
Yeah.
3, actually.
Yeah.
So I have
Okay.
9. And the 9th hit middle school, last year. And so grandma, you're kind of out of their universe. So, and then this opportunity opened up. And I thought, I love doing that. So,
And what was it that made you say, you know what, I'm going to file to run? You ran against an incumbent legislator. Been there for several sessions.
Yeah, Dwayne Burns is a nice guy. He was in 10 years. He had 5 terms. But what really motivated me is just nightly news, 5:30. One night there was Eagle Pass, Shelby Park. Greg Abbott working as hard as he could to really, I told everyone when I campaigned, he is not just defending our state, he's defending America.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was really passionate about that. And so I made that my number 1 plank on my platform when I ran. And, but that's what really motivated me, kind of like the trash can on the downtown square. It was just, I guess, the trigger. And so I filed, and I was actually, it's a great, funny story. I was in the North Woods of Minnesota walking through in foot-deep snow. I had someone want to lease, I grew up on a farm in northern Minnesota, and I had someone that wanted to lease my woods and my pasture land for his cattle. And I said, yes, but you can't cut down any trees. I know you're going to need grazeland. So I flew up there to mark trees that he could maybe cut down. I was just, when, I got a call, and I went back to my hotel that night by the airport, and man, it was a big step. And I thought, you know what? That's what I did for mayor. It's what I did for commissioner. I know I can do a good job. I'm going to work hard. So I got on the last flight and I flew into Austin, getting my filing fee out of the ATM machines at the airports because I didn't have my checkbook. I was just going to walk through the woods.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Had my ski sweater on. That's my picture at our, at the Republican headquarters. And I filed.
That's awesome.
And I haven't looked back and haven't stopped, and loved campaigning. I campaigned even after I won the general, all the way till I moved down here. I love it.
Never stop. Yeah.
Well, my district is so awesome.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about that. Tell me first what you love so much about campaigning, and then tell me what especially maybe people hadn't spent much time in your district, what they should be doing in your district and why it's so awesome.
Well, it's District 58, and I only have 2 counties. I have 9 school districts. So it's so diversified. I have Burleson in the northern part of my district, which is really South Fort Worth. It's very metropolitan, although they have a beautiful old town, which is just fabulous. But great, beautiful neighborhoods, and it's on 35, so there's so much commercial. It's a very vibrant, just a very busy town. And then I have Cleburne, which is more of the country agriculture, just a beautiful, beautiful kind of rural community, although they're growing too. Yep. And then I have Glen Rose, which is really a tourist town. So of the big towns I've got, they have 3 very, very different yet dynamic personalities. And I learned so much knocking on the doors. I think everyone says it's their favorite thing to do. And you talk to people that are there. I don't know. I think I'd like to say I'm bragging on my district that the people are so wonderful in my district, and they're just so loving, and they invite you into their living room. And, of 11 months of campaigning, I maybe had half a dozen that were just, sorry, close the door in my face, but, you expected a lot more.
Yeah.
So first thing I did was go to the commissioner's court right after I filed, Johnson County, downtown Cleburne. I thought I need to learn, and I need to start here. And because Johnson County is 95% of my constituents, Somerville, Glen Rose is only 5%. So I spent almost all my time campaigning in Johnson County. But I sat in that back pew. It's got little church pews. It's a wonderful old courthouse. And just sat there and listened. And this lady wheeled in this table of fresh flowers, 4 different vases, colored water, colored flowers, and she did a PowerPoint on PFAS, which I'd never heard of before, and about forever chemicals.
Yeah.
That's how everyone knows about it. By the time she was done, I was so stunned, and at what forever chemicals are doing to us.
Yeah. Well, now you're the PFAS lady.
I'm the PFAS, and I'm proud of it.
You're proud
of it. I can finally say the word.
Yeah, so tell everyone, what does PFAS stand for?
Parafluoroalkyl.
Parafluoroalkyl.
Try and say that 3 times.
No, I can't.
Took me 3 months. Anyway, they are man-made chemicals. They don't exist in nature. They are indestructible. That's the adjective you need to remember.
Yep.
And the very first time that I think that that I became aware of it was the Teflon DuPont case in West Virginia back in the 80s, which RFK actually litigated.
Yep.
Try to want to get a hold of him that he could give me some advice.
Do you know anyone that knows him?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But they are going down the same drain in Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. Firefighter foam, which is proven carcinogenics, pharmaceuticals, anything to do with paper manufacturing, and so many other things. And they are going down into the bio-waste plant and then put on trucks and taken down to the farmlands and the ranch lands in Johnson County, 5 farms that we know of right now. And this has been going on for years. We've been asleep at the wheel. Mm-hmm. They are still testing at that plant 9 heavy metals, E. coli, salmonella, but no forever chemical testing. Mm-hmm. And yet since the 1980s.
So tell people what's the danger of these forever chemicals? What do they do that we have to?
Okay, when they're put on the farmlands and they're put on the ranch lands, we have crops, we have the farmers.
Yep.
So there they are. And when I saw the demonstration in the Johnson County Commissioner's Court where these fresh flowers, that was water from one of the streams, from where it had been applied, they suck it up through their stems to the flowers. So our food.
Yeah.
And then on the ranch lands for the livestock and the poultry and the grasses, the same thing. I was so horrified that the fact that we are consuming these, that the livestock and therefore we are consuming these. And then now the studies are coming out, 20 years of studies. They are finding that these carcinogens in the forever chemicals are causing so many cancers. Yep. Diabetes, Alzheimer's, there's all kinds of diseases and illnesses on these farms where they took the samples, they tested them, and they found the forever chemicals. The tests are conclusive now after 20 years that it's linked. Now, how much? We don't know. That's going to be many more years of studies, but we do know that they are and they have had impacts. The livestock on these farms were tested. Of course, the soil was tested. The fish were dead in the ponds. Dana Ames is the private investigator / detective in Precinct 4 in Johnson County, which is in the south, where all this was discovered. And Larry Willie's the commissioner, and Troy Fuller is the constable. They are the ones that got this done. I'm just the messenger. I just was inspired in court that day and working to get that bill through. But they have been amazing. They have been doing lab tests for 3 years. They have been interviewing the state chemists. They have been interviewing Maine. The state of Maine is the first and only state that has completely banned them.
Really?
All forever chemicals are banned. So who knows? They could be coming down here.
Yeah.
And Pennsylvania and Michigan. Those were the three when I started on this a year ago that were really, really jumped in the game. We now have 12 states.
Well, and it seems like it's picked up a lot of steam,
Mhm.
and it's also, well, most issues tend to be this way, but it's a bipartisan issue. It's
It's a
not
bi-
it's not a
it-
Republican Democrat issue.
No, it affects everyone.
Yeah.
And it affects all ages. And I hope that it will be accepted in the House as a bipartisan bill.
Yeah.
But okay, so when you think about this being in our foods, and then Attorney General Ken Paxton filed Forever Chemical bill for household products.
Mm-hmm.
So we have gained traction. The New York Times, they've interviewed Dana and Larry and Troy twice. We've had many ag magazines call for interviews. It's just, it is gaining traction. I've had so many people come to my office, both groups. I've had the
Yep.
poultry farmers, I've had the corn. They're worried about what's happened to their land and their crops.
Yep.
Do you know something interesting?
What's that?
I had the corn growers in my office yesterday, and I did not know this, that the PFAS can come through the stem, but it will not penetrate the kernels.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's a door I hope that will be open to maybe resolving a lot of this. What else is out there? But here's what I want people to know. I wanted this bill to be specific and crafted and narrow enough so that no one panics, because we really don't know how big and how serious this is or could be.
Yeah.
So it is only to identify the 16. There's only 16 forever chemicals that we found on the land in Johnson County.
Okay.
So it's a very narrow bill, and it is only asking the company that is transporting the bio-waste to just do a test once a month.
Yeah.
And if they find any evidence of this 16, they just take it to a toxic landfill. So it is not, my goal is to open the door.
Yeah.
So that we can start addressing this issue that's been around a long time. There are almost 20,000 forever chemicals right now.
Yeah.
And more every day.
Man.
With technology.
Well, you get inspiration, trash cans, Governor Abbott on the border, and then Johnson County Commissioner's Court. And so we'll look forward to following that this session, and it is a truly bipartisan issue. I've heard Republicans and Democrats talk about it and concerned about it, and so I think it because it affects, as you said, it affects everybody, and it affects our food supply and our livestock and things of this nature.
Got to do something.
Yeah, that's right.
We really do.
So you're also on. Shifting gears just a bit, on the Public Education Committee. So you're going to have quite the session in front of you, right? As we talk about, I know school choice gets a lot of the oxygen when people talk about it, but there's also bills on school finance and teacher pay. Can you talk a little bit about what the legislation is and maybe even a little bit of what it isn't? Because sometimes that I find the most frustrating part to me is people will say things. I'm like, well, that's not even in the legislation. I was like, have you read the bill? And so curious, so far how that's been going, because that's a big job, big important job, and what you're seeing and looking forward to in the legislation.
Well, Senate Bill 2, went through, and I think it's a good bill.
Yeah.
And we had HB 1 when I was campaigning last year, and that had some good points in it too, but it also just wasn't quite right. It had some issues that the HB 2 and HB 3 do not have.
Yeah.
Chairman Buckley, I think he's authored both of them. I think they're good bills. I mean, they address so much of what HB 1 did not address, and it is putting the teachers and the kids in the classrooms first.
Yep.
That's what I see in these bills. We're in the middle of hearings right now for HB 2. We had a hearing Tuesday. We had another hearing today, and then we're going to have another hearing on Thursday. And then we have HB 4 and 6. And I mean, there are issues that I learned campaigning last year on that need to be addressed separately, which she's done a beautiful job doing.
Yeah.
But it is HB1 was 500 million for 50,000 students. This is $1 billion for 100,000 students. And what is scaring so many people is they are hearing it's a universal, which means anyone can apply. But so many people, like the anti-school choice people, are saying it's going to blow up the budget and it's going to be everyone can. It's only 100,000 kids right now, and we have 5.5 million. So it's a slow growth, which I think is perfect because we can continually address it each session. But what I love is he's given a really great secure raise to the teachers. The funds cannot be used for anything else. But to give the teachers a raise. We are dramatically underpaying our teachers.
Well, I think one of the most shocking things to me is when I started at TPPF 18 years ago, 51% of every dollar went into the classroom, and now we're at like 40%.
35.
It's 35.
I heard 35.
So yeah, and I was actually thinking in my head 38. So yeah, 35 is probably right. Yeah. And that to me is criminal. Like we're spending more and more money, but none of it is actually reaching your classroom. So to your point, this puts kids and teachers first.
And Texas, with our surplus and our oil and gas and our rainy day, and we're a wealthy state. Public education needs to be a priority with us. And I think because I have daughters that are in education. One is an elementary school principal. One is a professor in college. And then Brooke, of course, being here at TPPF and AFPI, has been a big supporter of education. So I just fully support it, everything I can. And I think and Governor Abbott's done a great job promoting this. And again, not to be, I'm just going to say it, like PFAS, we have got to change. We have got to make our public education. We have the wealth to do it. And we should not have kids below 50% grade level. And we should not be, 44th in the nation. And our reading graph just slid another 2 points, I read. There's no excuse for that. So I say this is a start. And I don't think any bill is ever perfect, but there's so many good things in it. So
and I always tell people school choice is not a panacea that's going to fix everything in education. But the reason it's important is it starts changing the leverage in the system, right? And it introduces competition, but more importantly, it ensures that we look at every child as really a customer of the education system, and that we're trying to meet the needs of every child because we have a moral obligation to meet those needs.
We do. We have a moral obligation. And, two of the things in this bill that I love is that it has expanded tremendously the special ed budget. And it, because the special ed, it's just growing, but there's actually a $30,000 cap for that particular special ed kid that may need a lot more education. That's really good. And then the charter schools, it's opening up the charter schools. So I think that
kind of lost in some of this is with charters and how important they are to part of this.
They are. It's just choice.
That's right.
And your word competition made me think of that. And that we just need it. Well, we got to take care of the teachers.
We got to take care of the teachers. Well, and I know, it's funny is when the speaker talked about this at our event, he kept calling it the Texas two-step, but there's so many bills. One of my colleagues called it the Texas jitterbug because there's so many different But discipline's been an issue in some of these schools. I'm going to do that. And the Bill of Rights, cell phones in classrooms. There's all kinds of things that y'all are looking at.
The cell phone's awesome. And Chapter 37 was rewritten a little where you had ISS for 3 days, and then you had DAP over here for 15 days and nothing in the middle. They didn't have, a couple of superintendents in Johnson County taught me this, and they didn't have local control like we've needed for a long time as far as discipline. And that's addressed too. So I was delighted about that.
When I talk to public school teachers and administrators, usually the number one complaint actually I hear is about the discipline side of things, and it causes massive disruptions for the class.
Yeah.
at all. Yeah. So I'm glad that the state's looking at addressing that, and then obviously the distractions that cell phones create inside these classrooms and stuff like that will be.
And I was surprised today, and this is public testimony, because I had a town hall last Saturday, which was really great, except for one particular teacher who got up at the end. But that's okay.
Yeah.
You got to have
Was
both
that teacher
sides.
from your district?
No, there were several that came from far away. But it's just, I see my little car to carry. I have HB2 and HB3. Yeah. So if I'm having lunch or I'm at a reception.
Somebody asks you about it, you're like, I can tell you everything about it.
Yeah, no, I tell them. They don't ask me. But I just, again, with my daughters in education, I really want it. I want to turn it around. So.
Yeah. Well, and when you see the outcomes that we have, right, we're losing a whole generation of kids. And if, if we want to make America great again, we want Texas to be the beacon that it should be. We want the Texas miracle to continue and the boom to continue. Well, it all starts with ensuring that we have children who are not only college ready or work ready, but they're life ready, and we're just failing them left and right.
Well, and coming out of COVID, from what I'm hearing with the other wonderful committee on public education, there's some very smart people on that. I have not been involved in that other than a mother, so I just put down ag. But I was thrilled to get public education because I'm learning so much and passionate about it. So it's been great. But so they have been discussing about the tremendous impact that COVID had. And these kids have returned to school and have lost so much ground. So you really can't say it's all, our Texas, our public education either. I mean, that really did have a tremendous impact, I think.
Well, and it's something, the kids who went through that, I know my kids, they went through it, they still talk about it. And it will be with them the rest of their lives, like that very strange time when we were taking kids out of the classrooms, and as very young kids out of the classrooms, and expecting them to learn over a Zoom, and the whole thing did make sense, and it clearly set back a lot of children. Yeah. Well, getting into maybe a couple other things as we wrap up, I want to ask a little bit more about, I have one last question about your district. Before we get that, you've talked a lot about your kids, and I know how important your children are. Obviously, I've known Brooke for forever, but your other daughters they're all wildly successful. So what is your number one parenting tip? And as a parent myself, I got 2 girls, right? Like, how did you raise 3 successful, wonderful daughters?
I don't want to take the credit. God, of course. I mean, I've been single for over 40 years. So I really was able to just give it 110%.
Yeah.
And I think that I always put them first because I could.
Yeah.
I had my own business. I didn't have a marriage, so I was able to do that.
Yeah. And
I tell you one thing though, because sometimes I've thought we've talked about it. I think you cannot keep your kids busy enough.
Yes.
I'd open every door you can. This reminds me, she just finished trying out her junior year in high school for everything, because I always said try out for everything. And, she class president, state officer for FFA, head cheerleader, district UIL, actually went to state and UIL, horse shows every weekend. And the principal called me up one day and said, you know what, your daughter's got too much to do, so I'm going to give head cheerleader to this girl.
Oh.
Yeah, no. So, end of story, she was head cheerleader too. But I mean, I just think that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And, if they wanted to do ballet, they did ballet. And if they wanted to do softball, they did softball. They did it all.
Yeah.
Of course, we're in a small town, and it was easy for me. I know so many friends, kids. They have 2 jobs.
Yep.
They have 30 miles to track practice, so it was easy for me. It's easy for me to say that.
Yeah.
But I think that was a big thing.
Well, it's easy for you to say that, but it's hard to do, right? Raising children is it is one of the most rewarding things you can do, but it's I always give Brooke a hard time and say the reason I don't have hair is because I worked for her for so long. But it's really kids, right? That's what really
listen,
did you in.
These homeschoolers, and I got to know homeschool families in my campaign. I didn't know any homeschool families in Glen Rose. I'm sure they were there, but I just, family of 6. She's educating 4 at home and all different ages. And I was leaving her house one day, and I asked her, I said, how. I could not wait until September when mine went back to school. And I only had him for 3 months.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really, really impressive when I see these moms and dads, I mean, giving it their all. It's, wow. Yeah.
It's the best. Although my dad always says he had kids to have grandkids. And that is by far the best thing in life.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, no offense. And I was like, well, I'm taking offense,
Yeah.
except for they're my kids. But he's like, being a grandparent's way better.
It's the reward in life.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah, until they're 16 and they get a driver's license.
They don't need you as much anymore.
Oh, yeah. Well,
my oldest is just about turning 13, so I'm getting close.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You worry then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have girls, so I'm just worried all the time. Just worried.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I'm sure
it's much harder on my wife than it is on me.
Yeah.
All right. So last question.
Yeah.
If we're in your district, and I think this is the hardest question I ask, if we're in your district, where should we eat?
Oh my goodness, there's so many great restaurants. Oh wow. And I never ate out till I campaigned, but it'd be getting dark.
Yeah.
I'd have to go to a restaurant. Oh my gosh. There's so many. There is a little restaurant that I ran across by accident in downtown Cleburne called the Garden of Eating.
The Garden of Eating. I love that.
And it's bowls. I love bowls because I love vegetables. That's probably my favorite because it's so unique.
Yeah.
But then there's an Olive Garden about to open.
Oh,
and I love their breadsticks and their Alfredo.
I love it.
Oh, I love it. So, yeah.
The Garden of Eating and Olive Garden. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, Representative Kerwin, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing, there are a lot of things you could have been doing when you decided to run for office, and the people of Texas, and I know the people in your district are grateful for you stepping into the arena once again and doing it. So thank you.
It's an honor. It's an honor. Quick, this is funny because when Brooke had asked me to run, and before I went to Minnesota, and I said, okay, so Mom, you loved it when you were doing local government. And I said, all right, I'll think about it. But 2 things. I cannot raise money. I am not going to ask anyone for money. And I cannot speak in public. And I'm not going to speak. Do you remember me coming down here? I was always in the back of the room and didn't want to really talk to anyone.
Well, I remember early on you asked me, like, how do you do this? You have to speak in public. I was like, you just get used to it. It is like, there's some people it's natural. Brooke, natural. It seemed like probably always was good at it.
Yeah.
I'm more like you. It's like you really have to work at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do. But here I am. I never would have thought a year ago I'd ever do this.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Can I tell actually one of my favorite stories that made me the most proud of my professional career is when we moved into this building. And I was working on, I oversaw the construction of this building, and I was working on getting everything moved in, set up, and I was working with our team on this. And I set up this simple tracking sheet because all these people were helping and they needed to know what to do. And I didn't want them coming to me constantly saying, what do I do next? So I just wrote all these tasks on a board, and I had the need to do, in progress, and done. And they just moved across. And I'll never forget, you walked in, you saw this, and you're like, who did this? I love this. And that was the highest praise I've ever had in my professional career.
Well,
you loved how I organized something.
I do. Oh yeah, I have the to do, get, and done.
Yeah.
But I like your terminology. Yeah. I may change mine. I'm driving my staff crazy. I have a whiteboard on every wall.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
I love that,
Kerwin,
Craig. How many? 18 years? How many years? 15.
18 years, 2007.
Oh my
2007.
goodness.
I met Brooke in Love Field conference room in July
told me
of
that story.
2007.
Yeah.
I think you might have been in the car
I drove
with
her.
Jake.
I drove her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jake in the little infant seat.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think she had some spit up
Yeah.
on her
She's-
on her, her shirt.
Well, of course she did.
And she was, she was classic, just a little running just a little late.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
then she walked in and
whoosh
it's like
into the
this.
room.
And it's funny, we're getting way far afield, but during that interview,
Sorry.
we were talking about something. And I said something was out of date on the website. I don't remember what it was, but she's such an attention to detail person. And Bill Peacock was in that interview, and she looked at Bill and she goes, "Is that true?" And I was like, "Oh no, I just got this poor guy I just met in trouble." I was like, "Oh my god!" And but by the next day, it was fixed. So
It was fixed. Yeah.
so-
Well, they just gave her Mom of the Year, Moms of America award. Did you know
yes,
that?
I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah. Boy.
she's incredible. She's incredible.
Oh man, she's so happy right now.
She's doing it.
Secretary of Ag.
Yeah, this is like perfect for her.
It's perfect.
Your other daughters too. They're amazing. I don't know how you
Oh.
did it.
And
And your
keep
kids,
busy.
all your grandkids, they're wonderful.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Aren't they? They're
Yeah.
all just.
They're
I
all
have
so
a
nice.
I have a young writer, an eventer.
Uh-huh.
She won the Young Writer of the Year award nationally. So I hope she goes to the Olympics.
And I'm just trying to
someday.
hang on when I ride a horse. So,
just ride more.
yeah,
Just ride more.
that's what
Take
that's
off.
my 12-year-old rides horses, and Brooke told me she goes, horses are good for young girls.
They are.
She goes,
They
gives them
are.
something to care about.
Yeah.
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 So
They are. I know they really.
so I try to encourage
She
that a lot.
loved. Yeah.
I was like,
her.
I don't really want to buy a horse, but I was like, if this
So did she
helps.
ride Western or English?
Western, she wants to do English,
Yeah.
but I think Western's more practical and better.
Well,
But-
be ready with the big bucks if she wants to ride English. Stick with barrel racing.
Yeah, well, she wants to do like the pole
weaving.
bending.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pole
yeah,
weaving.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so she's been working on that.
It's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, this has
All
been
right.
great, Greg.
Yeah, thank you, Representative
Thank
Kerwin.
you.
And thank all
Okay.
of y'all for watching, and we'll see y'all on the next episode.